Hey guys, it's Daedalus here, and I'm back with another video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, and the live-action one that just came out on Netflix, as well as the live-action movie and the animated versions. In this one, it's going to be a little bit different. I mean, I'm a big fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender and all the series that came with it. I just wanted to express that to you guys and give you guys a little bit of fun videos. You know, and leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you want, if you like the content. You guys should really check out my last video. It was a banger. So, you know, let's get right on into it. In this we're going to start with the live action one that came out on Netflix not too long ago. This one was a little different. There was a big part of it that I didn't really understand, and that was Bumi's attitude. If you remember in the original animated series, Bumi was more interested in helping Aang, move on with his Avatar life and, help him, accept the fact that he's the Avatar. That's where Bumi was trying to do. And he really didn't have much emotional or, emotional ties that would, or not ties, but emotional differences, Bumi never really showed emotion as much as you might think. He was more just laughing and giggling like a schoolgirl over the one that they did in the live action show, where he was more or less butthurt that Aang had left him. I didn't understand it. I didn't want to really understand it. It just seemed a little off. Bumi was always a little bit of a wild card, and that's what we all kind of knew and came to love. But when it came down to the testing of Aang, in the live action version, he just, at the end, he's butthurt that his friend left. And personally, if I were in his shoes, that wouldn't be the first concern. My first concern is, why do you look like a child? My second concern is, where the fuck have you been for 100 years? Those would be my main concerns, but Bumi doesn't even ask the question. He's over here just butthurt his friend left. I'm like, okay, whatever. Moving on. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, the episode that was for Bumi was 4 episodes into 1 episode. So the live action one, they actually took the entire version of Omashu from the tunnels down to all the way up to Bumi, which was 4 episodes in length, and they just shoved it all together. You'll notice what I'm talking about if you were to watch the animated one before watching the live action one. And you'd see what I'm talking about. It's literally 4 episodes crammed into 1. And by doing this, they missed a key part of character development with Katara. Alright, Katara's love interest with Aang kind of started to spark within the tunnels of Omashu. And they kind of missed that key part of character development. I wonder what they're going to do to compensate for it. I don't know yet, but I'm excited to see. So I've been really engrossed in the whole Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I've been having a lot of fun. The last time I saw a live action movie, a live action version of it was the live action movie that came out not long ago. It kind of turned me off. I didn't want to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender live action just because of that. I thought it was the movie, but it wasn't. I was so confused. For weeks I didn't watch the live action Avatar: The Last Airbender because I literally thought it was the live action movie that came out years ago. And if you guys don't understand why that turns me off so fast, it's the live action movie literally took everything that was good about the Avatar: The Last Airbender and sucked it out. It was all gone. There's maybe 1-2 pieces that were actually pretty good, Everything else was just fucking disappeared. That's why I won't enjoy Avatar: The Last Airbender live action movie. It didn't fit right. It didn't look right. It didn't even feel right. It was all types of wrong. And it's not like it's the animated version. I used to watch that stuff when I was at home when I was a kid. I'd get home from school or something, and I would just turn on some TV, and there'd be some Avatar: The Last Airbender right there. I'd be watching some Nickelodeon. I don't even care. That's what I watched when I was a kid, was Avatar: The Last Airbender. It popped up on my TV screen every day after school. That was just it. And, there was obviously the show after Avatar: The Last Airbender, Legend of Korra, that I still kind of refuse to watch. There is reasonings behind it, but every time I ever try to explain it, I always get the same response. You don't like that it's a woman lead. Let's get something clear right now. I don't give a fuck if there's a woman lead or not. That does not matter to me whatsoever. What matters to me is something completely different. Alright? It has nothing to do with the fucking lead character. I actually thought that was a great fucking difference from the original animated series. And I was like, okay, that sounds really cool. A woman lead for Avatar? Hell yeah. The last time we saw that was Kyoshi. It wasn't like I was mad about it, alright? I've heard that way too many times not to address it when I talk about Legend of Korra. Because the reason I don't like that show is actually has nothing to do with the characters in general. It actually has to do with the timeline. Let me just explain for you guys here. It's gonna take a second. Avatar Aang. He was 12 years of age when he was stuck in the ice cube, and they had to stay in there for 100 years. So technically at the end he's 112. He says this himself. We all know it. But let's say Aang lives for another 100 years after beating Fire Lord Ozai and restoring peace. And we're talking about the central city that he's creating. 100 years. Alright? Let's say that Aang's 22, or along those lines, because I don't think it took him 10 years to take out the Fire Lord, but let's just say he's 22 for reference. 100 years. He would be 122. That's still not enough time to evolve from the 1600s, which I have looked up. Avatar: The Last Airbender, the original, was in the 1600s to the 1920s in 100 years. It's just not possible. And Aang couldn't have lived over that very much longer because, they still kind of put in the relative human length, which was 80 to 100 years. But it just didn't make any sense. It really turned me off. I have problems with watching stuff that looks like it's from the 1920s. The reason why is because there's so much of it. I've seen too much of it to really even give a shit anymore. I don't know what the fascination is with the 1920s. I think the last time I actually saw something that looked like it was from the 1920s was Peaky Blinders. And I only watched it because my friends told me that I'd like it. And I left within 10 minutes. So you could all see, how I felt about that, It just, I don't know. I don't like the 1920s. I feel like people overuse it too many times and it just kind of gets boring and bland. But with the Legend of Korra, I don't know what the hell happened, alright? It was, even with 100 years, you could not build the whole city in 100 years and set it up like that. Even if Avatar Korra happened to take 20 years to fucking arrive. Even if that was the case, and she took about 20 to 50 years for it to arrive, there's still no possible way that, you go from the 1600s to the 1920s in 100 years. It's just not possible. That's just what turns me off from it. And I guess a lot of people wouldn't notice that, because it's they just don't pay attention. They really just listen to the storyline and the characters or whatever. But to me, it's very important, because how does that make any sense whatsoever? It screws the entire freaking show up, and I'm all like, I set to sit there and just imagine, maybe they have teleporters, maybe they're, you know, future time travelers, you know, and it just doesn't make any sense, and I'm like, oh my god, you know, it just, I don't enjoy that, when it, you know, when the storyline takes a fucking nosedive for the fucking timeline, it just doesn't feel right. And my brother did make a good comment back in the past. He was like, but DJ, your Legend of Korra wouldn't have been as good if Korra wasn't in that timeline. And I'm like, yeah, sure, you should fully agree. Legend of Korra wouldn't have been that good. You know, her personality, her character design, it wouldn't have been that good if it wasn't in the 1920s. And I agree with that. But what we should have done, Avatar-wise, was make a separate character in between them that would be within the right time frame, and he would be the Avatar, or she would be the Avatar, whichever, I don't really care. It would be a waterbender, and then Korra would be an earthbender on the next one, and that would actually make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it wasn't, so we would be Avatar A, and then there would be another waterbender, and then Korra on the end. So it's just, that's the way I see it. And then he says, my brother says that, you know, she still wouldn't have been good if she wasn't a waterbender too. And I was like, is she still a waterbender? What do you mean? Like, it's just a lot of things that I didn't really understand with Legend of Korra. I don't really like it. It's not my favorite show. But, you know, I thought I'd discuss this with you guys, let you guys find out for yourselves how you feel, you know, leave a comment down below, like the video. And, you know, if you like this content, subscribe. Anyway, without further ado, Daedalus Oversight, signing off.